Mindful Mix is an all-natural, superfood-infused mixer fortified with vitamins and electrolytes that can be mixed with alcohol for a cocktail or with club soda for a mocktail. Every flavor is sweetened with a low-calorie blend of cane sugar and stevia. My name is JD Mitchell, I'm the COO, and this is Eric Wentworth, the CEO. Now, Eric and I believe in goals, action, and hard work. We believe in doing a little bit every day. We believe in intention. But we also believe in parties, celebrating, and damn good cocktails. Now, the problem is, if, like many people, the focus of your intention is living a healthier life, then celebrating your accomplishments at the end of the day with 1 or 2 drinks can often undo all of your hard work. Eric and I believe you should have your cake and drink it too. This is Janelle. She's a 20-something millennial who's training for her very first marathon. Like many millennials and Gen X consumers, she prioritizes health and fitness above many other aspects of her life, including developing a rewarding career and even finding a spouse. She and those generations are also leading the clean label movement at grocery stores. Last year, over 90% of US households bought clean label groceries. That's a category worth $62 billion. At the same time, distilled spirit production has increased annually by 2.2% on average. And it's estimated that in 2020 alone, Americans will consume nearly 600 million gallons of distilled spirits. And in large part, that's due to the resurgence of cocktail culture. Cocktail culture produces premium, artisanal, and conscious cocktails. So whether Janelle is enjoying one on the beach, or she's celebrating a promotion with her friends, or she's traveling and experiencing unique flavors, a cocktail says something about who you are and what you're looking for, what's important to you. All of these consumer preferences for health and fitness, for clean label groceries, and for the cocktail resurgence have had a significant impact on your favorite bar. Over 85% of surveyed bartenders noted that consumers are asking more and more questions about what's being mixed with their cocktail. This has led to increased sales in the mixer category. For the past decade, mixer sales have increased by 6% annually, and established brands have seen growth in excess of 60% year over year. Now, if you're one of the consumers who can go to a bar every time you want a cocktail, that's fantastic. But there are 4 times as many consumers who note that they'll have a cocktail at home instead of going out to a bar. And the problem for those consumers is that there isn't a convenient option for enjoying a health-conscious craft cocktail at home.
Which is why we've created Mindful Mix, so that consumers can apply the same care and intention they put into what they eat and what they drink. And while currently consumers wishing to enjoy a drink at home must choose between mixers full of artificial ingredients and preservatives, or juicing their own citrus and muddling their own herbs, Mindful Mix offers a solution to this problem with a line of mixers that are both convenient and health conscious. So we have a triple value proposition. Our mixers are all natural, they're superfood infused, and they're fortified with vitamins and electrolytes. All natural means that our mixers contain no artificial ingredients or preservatives and are minimally processed. Superfoods are foods known to have health benefits, and we've carefully chosen superfoods that complement our mixes and provide interesting and unique flavor combinations. Vitamins and electrolytes also have a host of health benefits, and we're working with the doctor of naturopathic medicine to optimize this blend of ingredients. So our mixers will be sold in 375 milliliter bottles. They'll be concentrated so that each bottle will yield 8 cocktails. They'll retail to consumers at $10, and they can be mixed with alcohol for a cocktail or with club soda for a mocktail. And currently, we're seeing mocktails trending globally as more and more consumers are searching for well-crafted and delicious beverages that don't contain alcohol. Now, I've been in the beverage industry for over a decade, and during that time I've created countless number of cocktails, written over 100 different cocktail menus, and I currently own and operate a bar and restaurant here in Louisville called The Hub. And I've leveraged all of this experience into creating the recipes for these mixes. So we've currently developed 2 flavors. We have the Super Greens Margarita and the Turmeric Ginger Mule. And we're working on developing the Tomato Beef Bloody Mary and the Blueberry Pomegranate Martini. We've also conducted over 100 different customer discovery interviews with segments like bartenders, bar owners, distributors, and brand managers. And through this have validated and invalidated many of our hypotheses about consumer taste preferences. Turns out consumers don't want a broccoli margarita. We've also conducted focus groups such as the one seen here, and used that information to continuously iterate and refine our mixes. And so we've gained a lot of information through this process and determined lots of things, including our target demographic. So we've determined that our consumers are Millennial and Gen X, ages 25 through 54. They're college educated, and they have an income of at least $60,000. We've also determined our total addressable market. So $1.5 billion is if all millennial and Gen X consumers purchased our products. Of these, 70% are health conscious, and 80% are willing to pay a premium for products. And based on alcohol consumption trends and adoption curves, we've estimated that our total addressable market is 261 million. And that is if all these consumers purchased our product once. If they purchase it twice, it's $500 million. Now we realize this is primarily a marketing play. So aside from wellness, our primary competitive advantage is utilizing my industry relationships to form partnerships and co-brand with spirits. And as you can see from our competitors, only Tres Agaves is currently using this strategy, and they're only partnering with their own line of tequilas. Fix, our closest competitor in terms of wellness, is currently not forming any partnerships or co-branding with spirits.
Now, when Eric and I first met, we were drinking Old Fashions, and we've had a lot of Old Fashions since then. Old Fashions are great because they only have 4 ingredients. You've got bitters, citrus, syrup, and bourbon. Now, if any of those is missing or off balance, then it just doesn't taste right. It doesn't work. And by and large, those first 3 ingredients are the same no matter what you have. What really makes or breaks an Old Fashioned is the bourbon. Now, much like our marketing strategy, our favorite cocktail, our marketing strategy has 4 key components. And we know that we need an airtight, comprehensive marketing strategy in order to successfully launch Mindful Mix. So we'll develop strategic partnerships with bars and restaurants, attend and exhibit at festivals, events, and trade shows, and we'll also develop a comprehensive digital media strategy. Now, these are elements that you could find in another marketing strategy for a similar product. By and large, these are our bitters, our citrus, our syrup. What really separates and differentiates us from the competition, what's going to make us successful, is the bourbon. And the bourbon ingredient in our marketing mix is quite literally bourbon. We'll co-brand with premium spirits companies, and I'm going to start here. Bourbon is America's only native spirit, and we are at the heart of bourbon country. Given that Kentucky produces and distills over 95% of the world's bourbon supply, we are uniquely positioned to partner with these brand ambassadors. These brand managers live in our neighborhoods. And utilizing Eric's industry connections, we've already spoken with half a dozen of them, including those for premium spirits like Maker's Mark, Old Forester, and Woodford Reserve. They've expressed an intense interest in co-branding and developing that partnership because they're seeking innovative ways to attract our customer demographic, millennial and Gen X consumers. It's a win-win for us because we can use their credibility and also use their network to reach additional consumers. So much so that we've already planned a launch party this May at the Hub, pictured here on their patio. We've been speaking with 3 premium brands, Finlandia, Old Forester, and El Jimador, all within the Brown-Forman family, located just a few miles from here. These 3 brands in particular are very excited about the opportunity to co-brand and sponsor this launch party with us. We're also following a marketing strategy used by the craft beer industry through business-to-business sales initially. This will provide our consumers an opportunity to try our product in a trusted resource like a bar or restaurant before investing in a full bottle. Craft beer did something very similar to wide success. We've also decided to soft launch the product at the Hub here in Louisville. We added the Mindful Margarita to the Hub's menu at the end of December and priced it the same as the Hub Margarita, $7. We then launched a successful social media campaign that garnered a lot of attention, and in the past 2 months, we've sold over 300 Mindful Margaritas, generating over $2,100 in revenue. Since the opening reception of Cardinal Challenge last night, we've sold an additional 15 Mindful Margaritas. And this is really important because this isn't just an idea. This isn't just an MBA project. This is a business that is generating revenue already. And we know that we can move quickly because we're not caught up in endless iteration cycles and we don't need complicated certifications. We also know that our success is contingent on the healthy value proposition that we're offering consumers. Here you can see a comparison between traditional and mindful versions of the same drink. Here, margaritas and mules. The difference is hundreds of calories and dozens of grams of sugar. And given the consumer's propensity for health and wellness, this is something that is truly resonating with our target demographic. We'll also attend and exhibit at key festivals, events, and trade shows this year. What we're targeting in 2018 are the Summer Fancy Food Show in New York City, as well as the Natural Products Expo East in Baltimore, where we'll be exhibiting. We'll also attend Tales of the Cocktail in New Orleans later this year to stay on top of industry trends and to network with industry professionals to expand our own outreach. We've launched a website, drinkmindful.com, where we're already collecting information for interested consumers, and also we've registered accounts on prominent social media campaigns. We're leveraging all of this with a digital media consultant so that we can successfully launch a Kickstarter campaign later this year to bring brand awareness to the next 2 flavors of Mindful Mix. Our sales strategy mirrors this. In 2018, we'll focus on small restaurants like The Hub, as well as grocery stores like Whole Foods and Louisville-based Rainbow Blossom, where we've already spoken with the grocery buyer. We'll also sell online. In 2019, we'll leverage the abilities of a distributor to expand to more liquor stores, bars, and restaurants, and in 2020, we'll expand to mainstream groceries like Kroger and Target.
In order to manufacture our product, we formed a partnership with Louisville-based Flavor Man, who is internationally renowned for their beverage formulation and development, and have helped companies like Beatbox Beverages achieve success on Shark Tank, and Crisp & Cider achieve an acquisition through Miller Coors. Here you can see our timeline. So last year, in October, we filed a trademark with the USPTO for the name Mindful Mix. And currently, we have provided Flavor Man, our developer, with an NDA agreement, recipes, and we are currently actively negotiating a contract with them. We had a phone call just yesterday and hope to sign a completed version next week. Flavor Man will then help us to select our final manufacturer in March, as well as provide the complete formula development for our mixes. In April, we will have our first round of production for our first 3 flavors. And in May, we will have our launch party at the Hub, where we will co-brand with premium spirits. Here you can see a breakdown of unit economics. These numbers are the amounts received by all parties involved. So you can see we're purchasing our bottles for $2.50 and then selling to a broker at a price of $5.03. After flowing through a distributor and retailer, consumers will purchase our product at a price of $9.99. And these are profit margins experienced by all parties involved, and these are consistent with industry standards. Here's a snapshot of our financials. Important notes is that we scale rapidly because of our aggressive hiring plan and our use of distributors to reach key retail partners. We also break even in March of 2020, and again, these margins are consistent with those of all natural, premium, non-alcoholic beverages. Here's our management team. I'm Eric Wentworth, CEO, and I have 10 years of experience in the beverage industry. JD Mitchell is COO and has 10 years of experience in sales, account management, and marketing. Here's our board of advisors. We have Joel Adams, our expert of beverage commercialization. Joel founded and launched RJS Solutions, a distilled spirits provider. Dr. Peter Swans is our expert of medicine and wellness. Peter is a doctor of naturopathic medicine. We have Erin Spalding, our expert of marketing and advertising. Erin is an account manager at Doe Anderson and manages Maker's Mark's account, so she has experience in marketing in the alcohol industry. And Lucy Paez is our expert of branding, who owns her own branding consultant firm, Paez Theory, and has over a decade of experience in branding in the beverage space.
Eric and I have already invested $30,000 to fund the initial production and marketing of Mindful Mix. But beginning next month, we'll seek angel investment of $150,000 for 15% equity, and next September, Series A funding of $750,000 for 30% equity, all to scale production, marketing, and operations. I have more detailed use of funds tables that I can discuss during the Q&A. We plan to be acquired in year 5 by a beverage conglomerate like Harvest Hill Beverage Company or Powell & Mahoney, both of whom already include cocktail mixers in their portfolio. We also think we could be an attractive acquisition for a company like Brown-Forman, as they might be more interested in pursuing pre-mixed cocktails. Here you can see the return on investment for both angel and Series A founders. So angel investors can expect a cash-on-cash return of 41 times, while Series A investors can expect a return of 16 times. Whether, like Janelle, you are pursuing a major athletic milestone, or you have just finished a very full day of judging business plan competitions, Eric and I hope that you are taking time to celebrate your accomplishments every day with 1 or 2 or 3 drinks, whatever you're doing and however you're doing it. We hope that you are always living and celebrating mindfully. And with that, we'll take your questions.
Great job, guys. So I'm having a little bit of a problem understanding. This is a lifestyle product. So you showed Janelle, she prioritizes health and fitness, and you're selling a $10 bottle of a mixer. How often does Janelle drink at home and mixes a cocktail in a given week?
Sure. So what we've estimated from customer discovery interviews and industry research is that if you're having a cocktail at home, you're probably having 1 or 2 per week, so purchasing a bottle of our mix once a month.
So Janelle drinks 1 or 2 cocktails a week.
Right. So that's in combination with beer or wine, and that's an industry average.
Okay. All right, I think, and you also talked about there are 600 million gallons of spirits sold a year. How much of that goes towards cocktails?
Sure. So with the resurgence of cocktail culture, industry experts and then distilleries have estimated that about 3/4 of that is used in cocktails.
Okay.
Okay, so you heard over lunch our keynote speaker talking about the power of focus, right? Not spreading yourself too thin. So your presentation was all about, the mixers and using bourbon, and we are in bourbon country, and we are the epicenter of bourbon, and I got all of that. And then you added vodka into the mix, no pun intended.
Sure.
So I wanted to understand why you are now going with this dual strategy.
Sure.
So being located in Kentucky, we're hoping to co-brand with those bourbon producers that are in our backyard. However, in developing a line of flavors, we really want to cast as wide a net as possible and be able to capture people with all kinds of different flavor preferences. Even here in Kentucky, not everybody drinks bourbon, so we want to be able to capture those consumers as well that might want to enjoy a margarita instead of a Moscow Mule.
Have you thought of a beachhead strategy? First get some traction in bourbon, and then get into number 2 and number 3?
Yeah, absolutely. So the the margarita itself is not marketed this way right now, but you could add bourbon to that as well. And so the third product that we'll introduce is an old fashioned, so another bourbon-centric mix.
Okay, and last question. So what do you consider to be your biggest risk, or put it another way, what keeps you up at night?
Well, I would say last night what kept us up was this kind of questioning in business plan competitions, but our largest risk, and also what keeps us up at night, are our marketing risks. So we understand that our product depends heavily on marketing and branding. So making sure that we are focused very much on the customer demographic and we're meeting them where they need to be met is critical. We also need to know that our partnerships and our marketing strategies are going to align with that value proposition as well.
Thank you.
I guess it's my turn. Okay. So do me a favor, pull up your balance sheet. And if you say you don't have a balance sheet,
No, they have one.
I will correct you, because you do.
This might be the best
All
I
right.
can provide right now.
No, I want a better balance sheet. That's not a balance sheet. Yeah, no, I know, but can you put it up there? I've seen the balance sheet, but I want to show the balance sheet. If you can't find it, let me know. Okay, there we go. There we are. Okay, let's look at the, what is it, 4th line? 1, 2, 3, 4, inventory. So here's the thing about the beverage industry. You have to have it before you can sell it. How come you got no inventory anywhere on your balance sheet?
Sure. So what we've talked about so far with Flavorman, who's going to be developing that and helping us to identify that manufacturer, is a just-in-time manufacturing model so that we're not carrying inventory. However, we do
have they agreed that if you're doing the volumes that you're projecting in the out years, they're going to hold the inventory for you? They're going to be your working capital source?
No, they have not. So we understand that that is probably a very optimistic view and needs some
Well,
update.
beyond optimistic. Are you familiar with Ruby Red Tea?
Yes.
What is it that sank Ruby Red Tea? Working capital. To get the distribution that they got, which was substantial, and so ex-Brown-Forman people figuring it out, they discovered that the cost of inventory to feed the market channels that they were in was a giant demand for capital. I'm astonished that you haven't built inventory into your model.
That's something that we will definitely correct. We recognize that we're in the startup industry, and so we're working on assumptions that are available to us right now, but as we get more information,
I would think about that very quickly. One other question. Have you guys applied to Shark Tank? Because they seem to be, kind of enthusiastic about funky beverages. have you applied?
We're waiting until we have the final manufactured product to approach anyone in,
But
in that regard.
meanwhile, South by Southwest is next month. You should take a bunch of bottles, go to South by Southwest, and just pass them around.
Thank you for that advice.
Okay, so slightly different financial question, right? So we agree that marketing, this is all about marketing, all about creating a brand, all around creating interest. So, and I see in the out years, you have really big advertising budgets, but I think you're going to have to do something better than what I see here in order to attract enough attention. So tell me, for 2018 and 2019, what's the advertising plan?
Sure. So right now in 2018, we've set aside about $10,000 for marketing. So in general, we've proportioned our marketing budget according to revenue. So that's nearly 100% of our revenue. However, with this marketing budget, it's going to primarily be focused on the launch party and then also working with the distributors in 2019 to really get the product aware into the audience. So we're looking, especially in 2018, and working with restaurants like The Hub and other local restaurants to release signature cocktails that will use the product and really relate that to users.
I think Bob's Shark Tank idea is quite a good one for you. You need something to happen that gives you a big boost, a big bang, I guess is what I would call it. So, your turn.
Thank you. Great product, great to test these flavors out. It's very interesting. Not being from the beverage industry, I may ask a question here that might be a big duh, but have you considered selling this as just a mixer and not as a, I mean, could you sell this as a mix instead of as an alcoholic beverage?
So we are currently, the plan is to sell it as a non-alcoholic mixer.
So the branded cocktails, that's in the future, or is this exclusively a mix?
It's exclusively a non-alcoholic mix. We recognize that it would be a lot more obstacles and red flags than having an alcoholic product, although we anticipate in the future being able to launch a line of canned cocktails or box cocktails, however have you. But the co-branding is with spirits, distilleries and spirits that we would be co-advertising with, attending events with, and really helping to just drive some advertising.
Gotcha. I told you it would be a big duh. And then exit strategy. You're forecasting some pretty impressive return scenarios. What's that look like?
Sure. In terms of the exit strategy, or how are we reaching those numbers?
The strategy. How do you start to develop those relationships? Because in my experience, when you do a strategic, let's say, if you do a co-branded beverage with one of these three, you picked your buyer when you did that. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. So I think the fact that we could be developing co-branding relationships with the spirits themselves, so consumers are trying it for the very first time in the process of how they would actually create it, is something that's really unique to us and something that neither of these companies are doing. So we think that is how we would grab their attention, and launching with a major brand within the next 18 months is how we would grab that attention from them. And then I believe that they would be following our progress, and once we are ready for an acquisition, they'd be aware of who we were.
Is there a potential strategy where you go the artisan distillery route, so you don't have to pick your strategic early? What my fear as an investor would be, you're really locking in early, and you really have no way to drive up the valuation in that exit. But if you were to build it without having to pick your strategic earlier, you've got a lot more options, which gives you leverage later in the game. Have you considered that?
Yeah, I may be misinterpreting this. If I am, let me know. But I think our strategy right now in choosing a very large distiller like Brown-Forman or Diageo or someone similar is that they have a much larger network than some of the smaller distillers. So developing a partnership and strategy with them would allow us to enter many doors all at once versus developing partnerships with regional distilleries and then having to navigate those spaces individually.
Yeah, it's a fast track to revenue, and it's a fast track to longer term revenue, but the exit multiple probably is diminished by having not a lot of choices at that point. So that's the trade-off, right? Is you're getting access quickly to the market, but you won't have a lot of leverage when it comes time to say, hey, you guys ready to take this on? You're going to be very standard multiple kind of exit. Just just a thought, so.
What's the shelf life of your product after it's been opened?
So after it's been opened, it will need to be refrigerated, and it'll be good for 3 to 4 weeks. And that's consistent with most similar mixes of any kind.
Do you have any preservatives in there?
No preservatives. It's heat treated, so that it'll be good. It'll be shelf stable for over a year.
So what do you have that's kind of in any way, shape, or form defensible from competitors other than whatever formula you share with Flavor Man that they revise? And how protected are you with Flavor Man if somebody else decides they want to get into the same vertical market that you're in, you know, kind of the healthy mixer, non-alcoholic kind of?
Sure. So Flavor Man is developing the flavor that'll be unique to us and exclusively to our
But
capabilities.
they could do a slightly different one for somebody else?
That's possible. They could do something slightly different. So what really differentiates us and makes us much more competitive, in addition to the full healthy value proposition that's not available in the market right now, are the relationships that we're building. So really leveraging the fact that we're in this city, which is the best city to be launching a bourbon-based drink. That's something that is going to be very difficult to replicate for a company that's not based in Louisville and doesn't have those industry connections right away.
So how do you know you're building the right connections here locally? Brown-Forman may be, you know, interesting, but if I were you, have you had conversations with some of the local distilled spirits entrepreneurs as well, like Bill Samuels? I mean, who else are you talking to?
Sure. So we actually just had a face-to-face conversation with Joe Herron earlier this week, who is the distiller at Copper and Kings. And we've spoken to him about the proposition of mixing beverages and understanding how acquisitions work. So he has successfully launched 2 companies that were both acquired by beverage companies. And then we've also had a face-to-face conversation with Phoebe Wood, who's the retired CFO from Brown-Forman.
And she didn't tell you to put inventory on your balance sheet?
We didn't get that far into our conversation with her.
We have 2 minutes left, judges.
We had too much to drink. We're out. We're
So
done.
tell me a little bit more about your marketing strategy, because that's key to your success.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to talk about the idea of signature cocktails?
Sure. So we plan on developing some recipes and formulas that consumers can use to not only just mix our cocktail in a 1-to-1 capacity and have a complete drink, but also be an ingredient for like a complete craft cocktail. So for example, if you add some of our turmeric ginger mule mix with some Amontillado sherry, a botanical gin, some Angostura bitters, and some fresh mint, then you've crafted a completely new cocktail. So we want to have a full line of recipes available on our website for consumers to be able to engage and sort of have fun and mix them with themselves at home.
Can you talk about your competitive landscape? From your page 5 of your business plan, there are quite a few players there, and how do you differentiate yourself from others?
Sure.
I
So
see some 0-calorie mixers and stuff in there, so you're 100 calories, so I have even better, healthier drinks available? Why
Sure.
would I go buy a 100-calorie drink mixer?
So our mixer itself is 35 calories per serving, but when you add the alcohol, it becomes 100, just to clarify that. But what we've discovered in customer discovery interviews is that consumers are willing to take on calories if it creates a better tasting beverage. So we've conducted several focus groups to test that theory and find the right sweetener development. So in terms of what people are getting from their cocktail mixers, a lot of cocktail mixers are taking something that's very high in sugar and then trying to make it just organically very high in sugar. So a great example of that are Powell & Mahoney and Tres Agaves, both very high in sugar. They're organic, now it's just organic sugar, whereas ours is an all-natural version of that that's low in sugar and then also offers supplemental benefits like superfoods and also vitamins and electrolytes that are not widely available in the market now.
Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you guys very much.